It's time to be Tuesday. Guitars. The guitar and my fake ass towel wig is still here from earlier. This is the same day, by the way, as the Deathgasm. Adjusted. Hold on. Just wearing a different shirt. I should have worn the same shirt. Alright, so this is very interesting because I had no idea what this movie was about going in. I mean, I had no... Usually going into a movie, I have somewhat. I look it up and I try to figure out what's going on. The Wikipedia synopsis for this movie tells you nothing about what the main plot is. It just tells you the basic. Milton is arrested for making meth, and he goes to rehab facility where he meets what's her name? I forgot her name. He meets this girl, and she's actually there to find someone to make the meth. So her psychotic boyfriend shows up dressed as a cop and takes them out of there, and they go to this cabin. And all it says in the Wikipedia synopsis is that it's an Indian burial ground. So I'm like, oh, we're going to have it's going to be another zombie fighting film or something, or creatures. No. I had no idea what I was getting into with this because I read it. I'm like, okay, zombies or something, right? Okay, so it takes 45 minutes for what happens to happen. And during the beginning of this film, I wasn't into it. I'm like, oh, okay, this is not... I'm walking around, I'm trying to do other things, I'm not into it. I'm like, I can't get into this movie. I think I'm going to have to find something else to watch. So I'm sitting there, I'm watching this, I'm thinking, I don't know if I can get into this. And then, boyfriend gets shot. Killed, buries him. I'm like, okay, so what, they're going to run away now? Are the cops going to be after him for the rest of the movie? What does the Indian burial ground have to do with it? What's going on? Bury him. Cuts to the next day. It still says Tuesday. Wait, no, it was Tuesday before. Well, actually, I don't think it says Tuesday. Cuts to the next day. And wake up, he again pukes. And then boyfriend comes walking out of nowhere saying the same stuff we did the day before. As if nothing happened. Only the other two remember what happened. And that's when you realize we're in a time loop movie, folks. Yes, sir. So, go back to the beginning here. Like I said, I know nothing about this other than, okay, so first of all, I was watching Sinister Cinema Reviews, his review of Deathgasm, and he mentioned this movie that also had Milo Cawthorn in it from Deathgasm. I'm like, well, I have to see this. Because I know him as Ziggy from Power Rangers RPM. So, I looked it up, and I saw the cover that they had, the picture, it was like the cover of the DVD. And it said, Milo Cawthorn. Come on. Why can't I remember names when I need to? I remember the other two, but her name, Olivia Tennant. Milo Cawthorn, Olivia Tennant, Ari Boylan, and Adelaide Kane. And I went, If you don't know, the other three names I mentioned besides Milo Cawthorn were also in Power Rangers RPM. Ziggy, as I told you before, was the Green Ranger. Olivia Tennant was Milo Cawthorn. Olivia Tennant was Dr. K. Ari Boyland was Finn, the Blue Ranger. Adelaide Kane was Tanaya 7, or Tanaya, whatever her other name was. But Tanaya 7. Yeah. Not only that, I think one of the producers on this and one of the writers was also involved with Power Rangers RPM. And Rose McIver, who was the Yellow Ranger, was one of the producers on this movie. So there's a connection. And we also have Mike Jin has a cameo. He was the Gold Ranger. He has a cameo at the rehabilitation facility at the beginning of the movie. And like I said, the beginning of this movie is probably the worst part of it. I wasn't into it. But it actually starts off really interesting. So, Milton wakes up in this bathroom. He has no idea. He wakes up on the couch. He runs to the bathroom to puke. And he finds like a little video thing. And he has no idea what happened. He wakes and so this is like kind of the framing device. Keeps going back to it once in a while. It's a video basically telling him everything that's happened. In the video, he cuts off his front two fingers of one of his hands. But then he looks and he's got them all. So what happened, right? And so he tells the story what happened. So, like, the first part, I think he knows. But, like, it's really weird because we go from the start where he gets picked up. But from what we know of the time loop, he would already know how he got to the place. So the fact that the video recaps everything from when he gets taken out of the rehabilitation clinic into the cabin, I don't think it's necessary if we're framing a device like he's being told by himself what happened. He would already know the beginning of the first 45 minutes of this movie. But for the audience, we have to know what happened. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a little weird. But he meets this woman there, played by Olivia Tennant, who in real life at this point, they got married in real life. They were together for a few years, but didn't last. But they met on Power Rangers RPM, got married, 2013. This is when this movie came out. I wish I knew the boyfriend's name. I can't remember it. Russell. His name is Russell. So that one. She says that she lighting up a cigarette in there. These cigarettes are obviously fake, but because of just the way they look. But she lights it up. She does this thing with the match. She flicks it and it lights. I don't know if you can actually do that. Maybe. But she basically says, I'm here to find someone who can make meth for me. Basically what it is. And they're like, well, this is a rehabilitation clinic for addicts, and you're in the wrong place. Eventually convinces, great, I remember one name for the other one, Milton. She convinces Milton to go with her, and that Russell, her boyfriend, is going to show up. This is after she fucked him, by the way. But, yeah, so he shows up just as a cop. Now, the way he says this, he's like, Milton's like, she'd tell me you're a policeman. He's like, yeah, but I quit right now. And I'm like, I don't think he was ever actually a policeman. I think he stole the cop car in a uniform. Because the way he is, he wouldn't last long on the force. He would go nuts. They go out to this cabin. They say it's not hunting season, so it's fine. And they go out there. They say that blood was spilled. I don't remember how the initial blood was spilled. Something to do with an arrow or something. They're in there getting high. He spikes the cocaine with peyote. And then they wake up the next morning. Oh, I do know. Because I'm fucking stupid. It's not that night. It's the next morning. Duh. Okay, I was thinking it happened that night. But no, it happens the next morning. Because the next morning he's like, good morning, ladies, boys, and girls. It's time for breakfast. You know what I want for breakfast? And he's like, the meth. He's like, you're a mind reader. And so he goes in there and he's making the meth. Actually, we don't know how it started because we find out that this morning when he kills Russell is not the first time. Russell knows because he's like, oh, you can kill me, but you don't know how to finish the meth. And he basically tells him everything he has to do. He's like, what? How do you know that? He's like, yeah. And so they get into a fight with the guns, and he doesn't have any bullets because she took him out of there. I wish I could remember her name, but she took the bullets out, so he kills Russell, and then they bury his body. And then the next morning, they wake up and he's back. But she acts like she has no idea, but based on what we find out later, she does, and he doesn't because of reasons. And so he's trying to figure out what's going on. They run hypothesis and everything. Every day, there's like constantly they're killing him. And the other, whose turn is it? It's my turn. No, it's your turn. It's your turn. There's some great gag kills with him too, where like he walks in like shoots him. They're in a little area talking. He comes walking in. She takes this, what do you call it? The butcher's knife or cleaver, and just yanks it. He goes, pretty cool. There's even one instance where they're like underneath the porch or whatever, making out, and they hear him walking on the wood above them. So she mounts Milton, shoots him up, and they just start making love with the blood dripping down. They don't get naked, but that's fine. You don't really need that. But I feel like it would fit the aesthetic more if they're both naked and the blood dripping down type thing. It reminds me of Seed of Chucky. I know no one likes to bring that movie up, but it reminds me of Seed of Chucky, where they kill that guy with the cuts his Tony Gardner's head off, and they start making out with the blood spurting everywhere. Kind of like that. They weren't naked either, but they were dolls. So, yeah. So eventually, Milton is able to figure out that they're on an Indian burial ground, and a war was raged there. And if you spill blood, that's what starts this loop. Because they said the war went on for months, 8 months, under the full moon. So this under the full moon too. So I'm guessing it has to happen under a full moon. But so after a few days of doing this, she decides to take him up to this mountain and says, you need to go there. He's like, what are we doing? She goes, I think you know, or he wouldn't have brought the gun. And it's revealed that there are a bunch of his bodies there. So it's revealed that he's died before, which I think the last time that he died was probably right before we saw. So who knows how many times they've gone through a loop before that. But I think the first time that we saw him trying to figure out what's going on was the last time he was killed before later in the film. They said they have to get out of there, but they've tried. They've tried to drive away. They always end up there. So they decide, well, what if we got a plane? So we can't get to the airport in time. We're in the middle of nowhere. Well, there's a place, the guy they were going to sell the meth to. And I feel like there's a problem, is that they never, besides like an initial time, they never show him going back to cook the meth. So every time they bring it to them, but with everything they're doing, when do they have time to do it? So you're saying that every day he still cooks the meth? I find that weird. Like, they're in a time loop and he still takes the time to cook the meth each day? Yeah, that's a little sketchy to me. Even at the end of the film, they have it in a duffel bag. I'm like, when did he do that? It doesn't make any sense. Especially, no, it really doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. Oh, we'll get to it. But they bring the meth and he's like, okay, you owe me this much millions of dollars. And there ends up being a shootout. They're eventually able to get out. The other two are killed off. This is where we see Adelaide Kane's character. And they get out, but they bleed. and they haven't gotten off the land because they took the cop car. I'm like, why didn't you just take one of the planes and fly off the land? Who knows? It repeats again, and they slowly have. But he's trying to figure out what's going on. He goes out to the cop car one of these times, and he finds that the camera on the cop car has been recording the entire time. No matter what the time loop, it's been recording for like days. Every single day that they've been doing it keeps on recording. Somehow it doesn't reset. Only they do, I guess. Which is problematic because they take the car off the land with them. So if they were the only ones that reset, then the car wouldn't be there the next day when they... I guess they're in the car when it resets. But no, because they were outside of the car when it reset one time and the car was still there. Back at the place. So I don't know. And I was confused at first. Because there's this thing where he's going to torture Russell because they think he's behind it. And so he's torturing him and he shows him each one. There's like 3 of his bodies there and he's surprised to see it. But later we find out he knows that but I'm like, wait a minute. He had to have shown him before, so why wouldn't he know? Well, your mind resets every time that you die. So you don't remember what happened if you die. Which is why he's watching this video, because he dies again. So I'm like, okay, he must die again at some point. He does. Eventually they realize that the war that went on, there was only one sole survivor. So only one of them can leave. And she turns on Milton, killing him. They say, okay, we need to... he like hides the bullets and stuff. And he's like, we can just live here. She's like, we can just live here together forever, and that's it. And then he's like, oh, I have to go kill Russell. So he goes out, but you hear the gunshot, but you don't see him kill Russell. You just assume, because there are other times that you just hear the gunshot and you don't see it. So you think, okay, he just killed him again. But I thought something was up, because she kills Milton and then takes off, gets the money, because she sees it coming. She holds a grenade. She's like, she knew what they were going to do. So I'm thinking she was planning on doing this. Maybe. And the reason she took him there to see what they would do in a situation like this, and she can counteract it. Or she did kind of say that she was kind of on the fly here. Like she didn't know if she was going to do it, but she had to, I guess. Maybe this is like a point of criticism for me, because it seems like they were falling for each other and they have to turn on each other because they can't just live there together and one of them has to survive. Well, they don't write that in the film. Just, I don't know, there's this one thing, a couple times they show them in a cave, and it's like, well, maybe they did this ritual with, because I thought about this, I'm like, oh, they did this ritual, but they all died, so they forgot that they did it. Or one of them knows more. Or maybe she did it. Or she set this up and they all did it. She's the only one that remembers. But no, it ends up being this burial ground thing, which... Sorry, itchy nose. But yeah. This ending got me. I called it, though. She goes to the hotel with the money. There's a funny joke where it's like, smoking or not smoking. She got a cigarette in her mouth. She's like, what the fuck do you think? Which in 2013, they didn't have smoking or non-smoking hotel rooms. I think by then they were all non-smoking, but who knows? And she's in there with her money on the bed, lighting matches that don't burn the money. I don't know. But it cuts, and it's Tuesday again. And she's like, what? And this is the day that he's been watching the video. So it's all led to this. And she goes in, she finds the video. He's not in the bathroom anymore. And he's there with the crossbow. But she goes like this, and it shoots her hand. Not that, just the arrow going through. I've been stabbed in the hand before, and they didn't go all the way through. It just pierced my hand. But I've been stabbed in the hand by something. My hand's been pierced. Didn't go all the way through, but still. It hurts. It's a pencil, by the way. Like I didn't get lead poisoning. But, so, yeah. But Russell, they didn't take, he didn't take care of Russell. So, yeah. But again, this doesn't make any sense because at this point, they woke up. Like, okay, so the day before thing doesn't make any sense with the meth. Because they woke up, he supposedly killed Russell, but he ended up tying him up and putting him somewhere, is what we find out. But then she kills Milton and takes the meth and sells it. But how did he have time to make it? And this time, specifically, doesn't make any sense because they are all, after this point where she's shot in the hand, Russell comes in and knocks both unconscious and says, we're going to do this roulette, which there's a thing earlier in the film where he says he always feels, when he has his gun, he leaves one bullet thing empty. Here, he takes one bullet, spins it, and says, we're going to play roulette. And he goes, I'm going to go first. And we're going to take all these turns going round and round and pfft, shoot himself in the head. Like, oh, shit. Yeah, and then, so it's down to them, between the two of them, but ultimately, Milton dies. Yep. She ends up killing Milton. He dies, which I was upset with. I'm like, what's the point of him learning all this if he's not going to be the one that survives? She survives. But this ending gets me. It ends up being Wednesday now, and drug dealer guy and Adelaide Kane's character, Nibiki, show up. And they're like, you got it? And they find the meth. But again, there's no way he could have made it. Because we see that on that Tuesday, that first Tuesday, he's in there making it before he kills Russell. So how does he, like, it's implied he keeps making it every day, but there's circumstances where he couldn't have. Especially these last 2 days where everything happened so quick. Especially the last day where they literally wake up and try to kill each other. There's no way he could have made it. No way. They got it, and they're like, oh, there's a storm coming. It looks like we're going to have to stay here. And then she's like, oh, you owe me something $1 million. And he's like, how about a new deal? She's like, let me guess. You take the meth, and I get a bullet. He's like, deal. And he goes, so she goes to shoot her, and she just starts laughing because it's all going to start. He goes, see you in hell. She goes, maybe I'll just see you again tomorrow. So it's implied that it's going to start all over again, which is a cop-out ending, to be honest. Like, I feel like a better ending would have been, like, first of all, how did they know where they were? Second of all, I feel like a better ending would have been if Milton was able to get a shot off on her and she dies and he walks out, leaves. You know? And it just ends with him getting in the cop car, driving away. He goes to the hotel that she did, and he wakes up the next day. Or maybe he passes out and he wakes up, it's the next day, it's Wednesday. He gets in the car, drives off. I think that would have been a better ending than this, implying it's going to start all over again. It's funny, but I guess I just didn't want to see Milo Cawthorn die. He doesn't die in Deathgasm, but And it goes without saying, they're using American accents here. And I really wasn't, like, I've heard everyone's American accent in this, except for Ari Boyland, because on Power Rangers, he was Scottish. And he says it too. But what are you? I'm Scottish. I thought he was Canadian, but I guess he's actually from New Zealand, so that's cool. His American accent, I guess I have heard it before. He was in one of the Disney Channel movies. I don't remember which one. Was it the... You Wish, wasn't it? Wasn't he the guy Fred in You Wish? He didn't have a very big role, but I think he was in that one. He was younger, I think. But he had an American accent there. But, you know. But yeah, so yeah, but I will say when it comes to Blood Punch, by the way, no idea what the name means. Where does it come from? Blood Punch. Could it not come up with a name? I think they wanted to call it something that would not imply the time loop. Because I feel like the first 4 to 5 minutes of this movie were specifically placed so that you wouldn't know what this movie's about. You think it's like a drug movie, and then something happens. Like they're going to turn on each other in the woods or something because of the meth or something. Especially when they kill... When he kills Russell, I thought, okay, so are they going to run off together? Or is she going to force him to make the meth? Or are they going to be like cops coming after them or something? It's like a thriller type thing. Then the time loop thing happens and it catches you out of nowhere. If you have no idea what kind of movie this is, you wouldn't know. You would know what's going on. So I feel like the way they placed that was specifically to do that. But yeah, when it comes to the name, who knows why they call it that. But when it comes to Blood Punch, I would say it's pretty good. I already put this in my eBay cart beforehand, before I knew it was on Tubi. I'm going to keep it in there. Trying to get some movies on Blu-ray. This is going to be a DVD because, I don't know, Blu-ray is kind of expensive, but who knows. So what are your thoughts on Blood Punch? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.